buy so much electricity. Even an hour worth of outage time is just going to be unbearable for the end customer.
We have miles of transmission lines. We have thousands of substations. The entire country runs on the energy grid.
Day-to-day agenda is patrol, respond to dangerous situations.
If someone's injured and they need help and we can't find them, seconds matter. So we've got to get people on scene, on site, and locate where those people are so we can help them in the system.
If you're safe and you have reliable power, then your customers generally are going to be super happy with the service that you're providing them.
The most important people on the battlefield are the young men and women that are spread out doing the mission, that are on mobile patrols. They'll need information that is timely, relevant, and accurate. There's two problems. One is you have too much information. That is a huge burden on your time and energy. And the other is not having enough information at the time and place they need it.
So this is Interstate 80. This connects California to Nevada to Utah. It's a major trucking route. If it gets shut down, it causes a lot of issues. So
when you bring in a super truck and have to close a lane, it's not always ideal because you're backing up traffic.
Last year we had the big floods where we were losing bridges, where we were losing infrastructure. When you're losing bridges, you're losing millions.
People don't understand how important these jobs are.
You all, those of you in the room here today live, those of you joining us remotely, you're the ones who keep the lights on, who protect our communities, and help to protect our national security. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here with you today and to get to work with you on a day-to-day basis. Our mission at Skydio is really all about you. We're trying to take some of the most advanced technology in the world and deploy it in service of the core industries that our civilization runs on. Our goal is to make the world more productive, creative, and safe with autonomous flight. And when we started 10 years ago, it's kind of crazy that it's been that long, the mission was just in our heads. It was theoretical. It seemed like drones had a lot of potential. It seemed like autonomy was going to be important. Thanks to you all, this mission is now coming to life. Earlier this summer, Sumner County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee saved a man's life with an X-2. He was in distress in a cornfield. You couldn't see him at eye level, and the drone flying overhead helped the officers locate him and rescue him. We're incredibly proud to have deployed thousands of drones as part of the U.S. Army's short-range reconnaissance program that help protect our troops and protect our national interests around the world. Japan has more bridges per capita than any other country in the world. They also have a lot of earthquakes. Thanks to JIW, a significant percentage of those bridges are inspected with Skydio drones. It helps them get efficiency for their aging workforce, and it helps keep the people that depend on those bridges safe. And there's hundreds more examples like this. At this point, Skydio serves over 1,500 enterprise and public sector organizations, and we've delivered over 40,000 drones. So given all of this, I think it's interesting to take a step back and think big picture. So this is kind of the classic technology adoption curve. Every technology goes through this journey. Things start at zero, then you get some early adopters, some visionaries, and eventually things end up at full maturity, full deployment. Cars have been through this, PCs, social media, for better or worse. Maybe we're off the end of this thing on social media. So I think it's interesting to ask the question, where are enterprise drones on this curve? So maybe before we get into that, quick show of hands, raise your hand in the audience if you helped start your organization's drone program. That's great. A lot of hands go up. We'll talk more about this, but we have some real visionaries and pioneers here with us. It's part of what makes this fun. So you probably get different answers to this question from different people. Some people might say, hey, drones are out there, they're doing all kinds of stuff. We might be close to full maturity. At Skydio, we have a very different perspective. I believe we're still very early in this journey, and the question that I think is most relevant is, of all the times and places when a drone could be useful, when real-time information could make a difference, when having that critical inspection angle could make a difference, of all those different instances, what percentage of the time is there actually a drone there capturing that data? Now, the answer to that question isn't zero, but I think it's pretty small. And the story actually goes way beyond just drones. So this is kind of a view of the US economy. Here we're looking at digitization versus productivity growth. So, and we're seeing all the different industries in play. So some industries are natively digital, financial services, media, IT, and the internet. And these industries enjoy pretty strong productivity growth. But really the core industries that our civilization depends on are natively physical. They're much harder to digitize. And that lack of information has really severe consequences. So people literally lose their lives on the battlefield because they're unaware of nearby threats. Soldiers have to guess about what's out there. Most infrastructure maintenance programs today are predicated on kind of a time-based schedule, where you have a schedule, you do maintenance based on a schedule, rather than the actual condition of the asset. This leads to a lot of guesswork, and sometimes it leads to consequences with really severe failures. Imperfect situational awareness leads to officer-involved shootings, lower community safety. And the tragedy of all this stuff is that the data that matters is there. It's kind of hidden in plain sight. It really seems like drones should be the ultimate tool to go out there and collect this data. So the question is, how do we go from where we are now to where we want to be? So my general philosophy on business, maybe on life, is that everything starts with the people and the team. So we saw a lot of hands go up earlier. Part of what I think makes this industry so exciting is that it is still early days. The people who are in it with a belief in what's possible. They're in it with a vision for the future. They're willing to overcome challenges and work together. This goes for our team at Skydio, and it goes for our collaboration with our customers as well. So the team is really important. But the tech and the products matter a lot too. And we have a product announcement today that we couldn't be more excited about. So to help set the stage for that, I'm going to kind of a brief view of the drone landscape. So the traditional axis of innovation in the drone space has been all about hardware. So these are the sensors the drone carries, the form factor, the flight time, and this stuff really does matter. This is an area where companies based in China have done some very impressive things. They're leveraging the Chinese consumer electronics ecosystem. They're operating at significant scale, built very integrated, capable systems. At the same time, a number of Western companies have tried to replicate some of this functionality by essentially piecing together off-the-shelf components. And there's been some valiant efforts, but it's hard, not necessarily impossible, it's hard to build a really great product doing this. With our current generation of products, Skydio is kind of somewhere in between. We've got more scale, more hardware capability than most of our Western peers, but we haven't yet been able to go toe-to-toe with everything coming out of the drones in China. The hardware axis isn't the only axis in play, though. So no matter how far out you move on hardware, you kind of always work for the drone. It could have great sensors, it have great capabilities, but you're always going to be there flying it. The other dimension that we think is really important is AI and autonomy. So AI has kind of exploded in public consciousness over the last couple of years. I'm guessing many of you are familiar with, maybe you've played with ChatGPT, you've seen these incredible results from generative AI. So this is a technology that Skydio bet big on 10 years ago when we started the company. We essentially went all in on computer vision-based AI. So this is a video from one of our first products. This is a drone autonomously following and filming a mountain biker. It's using machine learning to map and recognize the world around it, knows where the mountain biker is, it's predicting into the future, replanning hundreds of times a second. This is the kind of thing that would be beyond the piloting capabilities of even the best drone pilots in the world. That same technology foundation has enabled us to automate many of the most important and complex tasks for professional users. So this is an example for 3D scan, where the drone automatically explores the structure, builds a real-time 3D model, uses that model to guarantee high-resolution photo coverage of the whole thing. And we invested in this technology because we believe this is the thing that takes us to the future. This is the thing that changes the paradigm from having one drone watching over 100 soldiers to having 100 drones keep that one soldier safe. This is the kind of technology that should enable us to blanket our critical infrastructure in proactive real-time inspections. You know the complete state of everything all the time. You can make proactive decisions. This is the kind of thing that should enable us to put drones everywhere they could be useful in public safety. Mapping crime and accident scenes, responding to 911 calls, going into dangerous situations ahead of people to keep officers and the communities they serve safer. So if we come back to our chart here, got the two axes. So there's actually not that big of a difference between the drones coming out of China and our Western peers when you look at the AI and autonomy dimension. But this is an area where Skydio has built really significant lead. Unfortunately, though, that's left folks with a choice. And it would be great if you could kind of get the best of both worlds, if you could get great hardware and world-leading AI and autonomy in the same platform. So that's kind of key question number one. If we zoom in on hardware, we oversimplify things here, but we kind of think about different size classes of drones. So there's a class of big drones. These are the things that take up most of the trunk of a car. They probably require 2 or 3 people to operate. They're pretty cumbersome. They're super capable. There's a lot of versatility there. On the other end of the spectrum, we have what we think of as kind of medium class drones. These are, they don't fit in your pocket, but they're small enough and light enough to take with you wherever you need them. They're super convenient, but they typically have compromised hardware capability and versatility. It would be awesome if we could kind of pull down some of that big drone capability and versatility into more of a medium-sized package. Question number 2. The final question is, where are these things made? So, as drones have become more important for our critical industries, I think it's become more clear how fragile it is to be depending on drones made by our adversaries. There's a lot of different opinions on this, but that should not be controversial. And I don't think it is. A recent poll, 90% of folks in public safety said that they would prefer to be using drones made by a US company. Unfortunately, today, we think it's probably less than 10%. As a leading US company, this is something we take personally. It would be great if there was a US option that had everything you needed across the board. So we've got 3 key questions. Is it possible to get great AI and great hardware in the same package? Can we take some of that big drone capability and pull it back to a medium-sized package? And finally, is a US company going to step up to the plate and deliver something awesome? What do you guys think? Yeah? All right. Today we're launching the Skydio X10. This is our answer. Let's see what it can do.
Behind every flickering light, every open road, every safe community, you'll find people. People who keep our civilization running and who depend on having the right information at the right time. It's here for them. Skydio X10, it's here, with the best sensors ever in a drone this size. The first of its class with the FLIR Boson Plus, 640 by 512 radiometric thermal imaging with maximum sensitivity. A 1-inch 50-megapixel sensor with a custom wide-angle lens, or the 64-megapixel narrow-angle camera to capture the data you need, even during low-light inspections. Transition Zoom can read a license plate from 800 feet and identify cars from 3 miles away. You've never seen like this before. It's here, and it's ready for anything. X10's durable, lightweight airframe goes from backpack to flying in under 40 seconds and thrives in the most challenging environments. It's tough, quiet, and resistant to electromagnetic interference. And the open modular platform is built to adapt, with sensor packages and attachments to get the job done. Capable of flight command from 7.5 miles away using the ultra-bright controller, with a multi-band option for operations in a contested environment. An optional 5G gives X10 unlimited operating range anywhere there's a cell signal, unlocking remote command and control from any connected browser.
Copy, Marine Unit 1. We have assumed control of Skydio X10.
So personnel on the ground can be fully focused on the mission at hand.
Marine Unit 1, we have individuals stranded on the roof of a residence.
We will guide you in.
It's here. A new era of onboard AI and computer vision lights the way with NightSet. enabling autonomous flight in zero-light conditions. Obstacle avoidance can now do the work for you, even in the darkest environments. Turn complex jobs into completed jobs with the automated capture of critical data, while onboard modeling takes you from images to insights in minutes for immediate action. The best sensors ever in a drone this size, piloted by the most advanced AI in the sky, to get you the details you need, whenever you need them, wherever they are. Designed, assembled, and supported in the US, and trusted around the world. Capture every last detail, night or day, rain or shine, when it matters most. Skydio X10. It's here.
All right, so there is way more awesomeness in this thing than we could possibly get into a 3-minute video. There's probably more than we can get in a keynote, honestly, but we're going to try. So what we'd like to do now is kind of take you step by step through the product and show you what it can do, what it means for you, and also give you some insight into how we built it. This is really a cutting-edge aerospace device packed into an extremely small package. And we're going to start at the business end of the drone. We're going to look at the sensor packages. So these are the cameras that capture the data you need. This is an area where we've made massive investments over the last 3 years. We've probably heard from one or two of you that a 12-megapixel camera might not always be enough to get the job done. We heard the feedback, and we're taking a huge step forward here. So to introduce that, I'd like you to hear from the team that did the work and in all the innovations going into X10.
People who are most likely to use drones in the utility industry are going to be your linemen, your operators, your engineers. The introductory use case is really to replicate the operator rounds and get the operator to be on the ground where they normally would have to be up in the air or rappelling or in a bucket truck.
The ability to see millimeter size or sub-millimeter cracks in insulators, be able to see the really small things that you would only otherwise be able to see by putting the human eye as close as you can, well within minimum approach requiring an outage. The ability to do that is super valuable.
In order for drones to be a good solution in law enforcement, it needs to have really great imaging. There's no point in having something that's not providing you with the best possible results. And so we need sensors that are giving us clear images of what is happening on the scene.
We talk to our customers and say, like, what's the hardest thing your camera system has to do? We don't go for like the low-hanging fruit. We choose the hardest target and we aim at that when we're developing our cameras and testing our cameras. So like the hardware is designed to meet those requirements. The testing is made sure that we're hitting those targets or exceeding those targets, and we don't really stop until we get there.
Our next generation is the first one that we customize all of our cameras. And that's why in our next generation drone, we have 3 different user cameras, one with high resolution, one with large field of view, and one with a longer focal distance that we can see 300 meters away.
The idea behind building camera module is you have a sensor and you have a lens, and if they're not in parity, then there's a limitation there. Like you have to have a lens that's capable of resolving the full power of the sensor. And so we had to design and push our vendors to up the quality of their lenses and add, features and aspects to the lens so that we could really have a camera system that's in harmony between lens and sensor.
It is very exciting because I've been through several iterations of camera build, and I can see how much the camera improved from all aspects, from different build to the next build.
Skydio puts a ton of effort into our tuning. We spend many hours, fine-tuning and tweaking, making very subtle adjustments to things like noise performance and sharpening. There's a very fine line of getting it just right, and we spend a huge amount of effort testing in the real world, testing in the lab to make sure that that comes out, just how we'd like to see it.
Specific use cases I tune for, related to thermal, make sure in inspection and situational awareness use cases, that they can be confident that the data they're getting is accurate. On the software side, the Atlas SDK with FLIR really make the images detailed, clear, and also radiometrically accurate. We can actually see per pixel what the temperature is. Really excited to see what people say when they actually get their hands on it.
Without the right sensor, it's really tough at 200 or 300 feet to see what's down there. And you really want to have a camera that like essentially puts you on the ground. It's going to be something that everybody's been waiting for.
So the sensor packages on X10 are replaceable, they're removable. We'll have two options out of the gate. The VT300Z, which is a little bit more optimized for long standoff, and then the VT300L, which is a little bit more optimized for close-in inspection work. We're not done with just these. You can expect to hear about V100L coming soon. We know not everybody needs a thermal camera, so we have an option without the thermal camera for folks that just want visual inspection data. So what I'd like to do now is tell you a little bit of the story on each of these sensors. So when we started designing these things, we essentially worked backwards from our customers' most important needs. You heard some of this from our team there. So the starting point is pretty simple. How much detail can you see from how far away? I love the way Fritz described it in the video. You want a sensor that basically puts you on the ground, even if you're 200-300 feet up in the air. So that was the motivation for developing the telephoto camera. So here we are about 300 feet away. You might be able to make out a car somewhere in the distance there. We're now going to punch in to telephoto. We're a little bit closer now. Now we're going to go all the way in. Incredible detail from 350 feet. This was captured in the air. So to put this in perspective, we're going to see how this stacks up against some other options that are out there. So we've got X10, and then we're going to introduce, we've changed the names here to protect the not so innocent. We've got the Havoc and the Emo, two other medium-class drones that you might consider. So let's see what we've got. There's really not much of a comparison, is there? So this is same conditions, same time of day, captured in flight, 650 feet away. So in order to make this a fair fight, we're going to have to go up a weight class. So we're going to go up to our friend the Patrice 30. So please note, this weighs about 2x as much as the X10, so now you're in the territory of you might want a couple people to operate this thing, much less convenient to get it in the air. And now we're roughly comparable. There's a great camera on the Patrice 30, much bigger drone, but we've taken all of that capability and packed it into something way, way smaller. I think we can pretty confidently say this is the best zoom ever on a drone this size. All right, so what about thermal? So we have integrated the FLIR Boson Plus. This is the first drone ever with the Boson Plus in it. FLIR has been the leader in thermal imaging for the last 2 decades. And I know the point of these images is for inspection, but I think it's also cool to just look at it and appreciate how beautiful that is. Like, it's wild that that's possible. So this is an image captured of a distribution pole. You can see incredible detail on the pole itself, which is about 30 feet away. You can see great detail on the trees, which are 150 feet away. The Boson Plus is radiometrically accurate, which basically means that you can get an exact temperature reading for every pixel in that image, which is super useful for inspection. So here we're flying over a solar farm. We're looking at solar panels. And we actually, while we were capturing this content, detected a potential issue. So you see that little red H that's firing. That's a hot spot on one of those solar panels, which is an indicator that it might be unhealthy and need to be replaced. We've built the full suite of radiometric tools, so you can measure specific point temperatures, you can measure the average temperature over a region of interest. It's really, really incredible stuff. The thermal camera is also key for seeing at night for situational awareness use cases. So here we're looking at a person in a car from 750 feet in flight. You can see the hot front of the car from the engine running. You can see the person walking around. Great detail. To put this in perspective again, we're going to compare against some other options. So the Havoc and the Emo are back. Same flight conditions. And the X10 is just way clearer, way sharper, way more detail from a long standoff distance. We're going to go up in weight class again, bring back the Patrice, and here, actually, the X10 is noticeably sharper again. From a long distance, you can just see incredible detail. This is the best thermal camera ever on a drone this size. All right. What about detailed inspections? All right, so when we talk to our customers in the civil engineering space, thinking about bridge inspections, we hear about, and we want to see the finest crack possible. That was the motivation for developing the narrow camera here. So we're looking at full frame image. This is taken about 1 meter away, so 3.3 feet. Does everybody see a crack in the image? Think you see the crack? Maybe. All right, we're gonna punch in. See the crack with great detail. Everybody see the crack now? Great. All right. That's not the crack we care about. We're gonna go in again. That's the crack we care about. So that is 0.1 millimeter crack in concrete, image from 1 meter away. We'll compare against other options out there. So now we're going to have to go up another weight class. This is the Patrice 300 now. So this is a drone that weighs about 3 times as much as the X10. I think you'd have to be crazy to fly this thing 3 feet away from a bridge that you were inspecting. So we didn't even try. We just carried it up there because we wanted to compare the camera, and it's pretty comparable. So at a fair comparison with a longer standoff distance, you'd be in a different realm. But this is an incredibly detailed inspection camera. Overall, I think we can pretty confidently say these are the best sensors ever on a drone this size. We heard the feedback, we took it, we worked hard for the last 2.5 years and built incredible sensor packages for you to get the data you care about. So now that we've got great sensors, we need to put them where you need them. And to do that, you need a great airframe. So we tried to build an airframe that was super versatile, super robust. The way we think about it, it needs to be ready for anything, anywhere, anytime. So to tell you more about that, I'm excited for you to hear from our hardware team on the great work they've done here.
What's been proven so valuable to military forces is that a small drone that's small enough to be backpack portable and light enough to be carried by a soldier can go anywhere with that unit. And it's an organic sensor that they own, that they can deploy quickly at the time and place they need it to get the information. Having the ability to make better decisions on the battlefield is key.
Our overall brief was just to make our drone products better in every way possible from our past generations. Having to carry around a giant aircraft would be prohibitive in a lot of use cases, and so size ends up being really, really important. It also ends up being very difficult, like making something that's super capable and very dense from a feature perspective is also really hard to make small at the same time. We've been able to incorporate all of these features into an overall product that's only 4.5 pounds, which is just awesome. Every square millimeter, every cubic millimeter really ends up mattering, and you end up fighting for those in order to make the product really elegant and small.
So the challenge in designing drones is you want to make them as lightweight as possible. Any extra size is not only like extra material that customers are going to have to carry around, that you're going to have to build into the case, but also the mass. So you want everything small, you want it dense. And that goes down to like on the component level. You like take our main logic board, everything is incredibly dense on here. We've been doing this daily, so you take a cross section of the drone, look inside, where is there wasted space? How could we move around components, interfaces, circuit boards such that we can take advantage of that wasted space?
We have a lot of high power electronics inside. Like that's what enables the autonomy system, that's what enables the radio to work really well, the cameras to work really well, and as a side effect of that, there's a bunch of heat that's generated. So in this case, we have about 40 watts of heat that has to be cooled, which is a substantial amount. And so part of the design of the core structure is how do we remove that heat from the system as efficiently as possible. We intentionally decided to go with a 3-bladed propeller again this time, similar to X2. The 3 blades will slow down the rotor rate quite a bit and reduce the overall noise footprint, and we know that's important to a lot of our customers.
In terms of durability, we've chosen a few design features to enable this to be a rugged, like enterprise product. For material selection on previous products, we chose magnesium and unfilled polycarbonates. On this program, we chose glass-filled and carbon-filled to increase the stiffness of the system without taking on extra weight.
Our arm structure is an ultrasonic welded assembly, and so we're able to basically fasten 2 pieces of arm material together in a continuous way around the length of the arm without using screws or snaps or other things. So it makes the arms really strong and really light and really robust in general, and that's a new process for us on this product.
These things are going to be used and abused. They're thrown in backpacks, they're dropped off tables. We want to make sure that we're future-proofing all of these designs and validating them to how they will be used, not necessarily to just how they're being used today. We use large-scale thermal chambers so that we can fly in hot and cold temperatures. We use these vibration tables to validate a lot of our really vibration-sensitive electronics. We have also developed in-house what we call our wind wall to simulate the highest degree of winds that we expect. We have water cycling rigs to kind of catch all of those edge cases of how these might be used by customers.
So Skydio is a bit different in our development process from some competitors where we do a lot of the development in-house. So the design, the engineering, we do all of our reliability testing in-house. We're able to iterate more quickly and ensure reliable and efficient products that way. When you look at the team, the product design team, we're just excited to come to work every day. I think it's special to work at a place like that, and that shows off in our products. There's detail because there's ownership in the parts we're designing. So with X10, I think the customers should really be able to just achieve all that they need to do in their day-to-day work easier, essentially. It should be more efficient. It should be easier for them to move the product around, to use their product. They should be able to do whatever they need to do in their use cases with X10.
So what does being ready for anything mean? Well, it means you can be up in the air in less than 40 seconds. I know because I've timed it. Hopefully this number will go down over time as we get into optimizing the software more. It means you get up to max 40 minutes flight time. It means 45-mile-an-hour top speed. And it means IP55 rating, so you can fly in light to medium rain. The other dimension to this is the modularity of the airframe. So from the beginning, we wanted to build a modular and open system. So there's 4 payload bays, top, bottom, both sides. And right out of the gate, we're developing a suite of first-party attachments to adapt to your mission. So we've got a spotlight, speaker mic to facilitate two-way communications. We've got night sense. We're going to hear more about that later. We've got RTK GPS for high-precision capture. And then we've also got a parachute for ultimate peace of mind if you want the final fallback. So we've got a very versatile airframe. We've got great sensors. The next thing we need to do is get connectivity to the drone so we can get control and we can also get the data to where it matters. This is another area where we've made major investments over the last 3 years to bring together a suite of connectivity options. So you'll hear now from our wireless team on the great work that they've done.
Connectivity is probably the second thing everyone asks for, the camera and the connectivity. I need range. Certainly in urban environments, the high RF means that even though you may not want to go 12 miles, you need a signal that's strong enough to do that because you're going to be flying in RF-rich environments. You'll fly behind trees, behind buildings, and that's not only important for flying by hand with tactical operations, but that's also important for advanced operations like drone as first responder.
Rather than just focusing on the single radio link between the controller and the drone, we took a approach where we wanted to sort of enable a suite of connectivity options. And between those 3 connectivity means, we have a rich fabric that allows crisp video and responsive controls and seamless connectivity no matter how complicated of a mission you throw at the X10. We kind of started over from the ground up with new hardware that was optimized in terms of its sensitivity and antenna performance to provide maximal coverage in all directions.
We added capabilities that improve performance in a congested environment by significantly improving the link that transmits from the controller to the drone. We have an asymmetric link. The command and control that is used from the controller to the drone is very, very narrow. We don't send a lot of data to control the drone. The downlink is actually standard. It's a meaningful and significant benefit, and it sustains the link further out and make it much more robust.
The multiband radio on the X10 offers a wide range of flexibility, allowing users to select specific frequencies tailored to their operating environment. This was an important design consideration for optimizing radio performance in support of global government and international customers.
With this next generation drone, the one feature that I'm most excited about is the maximum range that we're going to get. So in our case, we basically do a lot of innovations in the materials that we use, in the type of PCB materials that we choose, the type of wires we actually put into our system for better shielding, better noise immunity, and better noise rejection from the environment around it.
The X10 has a 5G cellular modem directly integrated in that allow you to sort of hand off seamlessly between a controller and a remote operator and a web browser.
Being able to pilot from anywhere to anywhere is really the next generation of like where drones need to go. You need to be able to put them on a wide area network like a cellular network and give access to the video stream. And so we, really thought about a lot of the use cases for streaming, for direct connection, for remote operation, and we're like 5G cellular has to be in our next generation product.
You can now have this one tool that has so many incredible innovations inside of it and a wireless system that allows you to extract all of that information in real time wherever you are, whether you're right next to it flying it manually or if you're sitting somewhere in your office and you're flying it remotely.
All right, what are we going to do with 5G? So how many people here are familiar with the concept of drone as first responder? Most, all right. So how many people know the origin story of drone as first responder? Fewer, some, but fewer. All right, so once you've seen this, you really can't unsee it. The concept of drone as first responder is sending a drone out in response to a 911 call. It gives you real-time aerial intelligence, gives everybody better information to make better decisions. We see this as the future of drones in public safety. It's been a big part of our vision in the space for years now. And philosophically, one of the things that we try to do as a company is when there's something that really matters, it's really important, we go out and we try to find the best people in the world at that thing. So I'm super excited now to introduce Fritz Reber, who leads public safety integration at Skydio, who's one of the creators of DFR, to show you what it's all about.
Thank you very much. Very excited to be here today. As Adam mentioned, prior to Skydio, I was with the Chula Vista Police Department for 27 years. And it was during my time as UAS commander that Cape Termis and I began working on a unique use case for drones in everyday policing. We worked with a great team at Chula Vista PD to go from concept to reality, showing public safety everywhere how to routinely use drones to de-escalate, increase situational awareness, and reduce response times. In fact, today is exactly 5 years to the day that we officially named this concept Drone as First Responder, or DFR. And now DFR is known worldwide as the ultimate public safety drone use case. So I'm very excited to demonstrate how the Skydio team can bring that life-saving capability to your community through patrol-led DFR. Let's begin the live demo now.
Hi Frank, I have a call pending in your area near 223 Halleck. Caller states the female appears disoriented, talking to herself and carrying a knife. Subject is a white female, thin-built, blue shirt, gray pants, black boots. No threats or reports of injuries at this time. Be advised, I don't have any other available units right now.
Hi, Frank. I copy. I saw the call come over on the CAD system. I'm staged about a block south with the Skydio X10. Do we have any DFR pilots available?
DFR1, I'm monitoring. I'm available to assist.
Hi, Frank, to DFR1. You're clear to launch and show me switching to Axon Body 4 for recording and comms.
DFR1 copies. I have you loud and clear on Axon Respond, and I'm launching now.
Hi, Frank, copy.
And DFR1 got a good feed. And just a heads up, you may have a jogger heading to you right now.
All right, Frank, I see you. DFR1, be advised, we might have a possible underneath the bridge north of us.
Copy that. I'll head that way. I'll start the search now. I'll go down low and look underneath there with the thermal.
Copy. I'm going to clear this parking lot and continue north.
Copy that. And got the thermal on. So far, no heat sources. Appears clear under the bridge. Still looking.
10-4.
And DFR 1, I actually might have a possible here. It's under the northeast corner of that building in the crawl space. Appears to match. It's a female, definitely talking to herself. She actually has a large fixed-bladed knife in her right hand.
10-4.
Just hang there. I think she's keyed in on my drone. Affirm. She sees my drone. She's coming out and still has a knife. Actually, she's putting the knife down now. She's got the knife down now. She's got her hands up, surrendering to the drone. You might be able to reach out and call to her now.
5, Frank, I see her. I'm gonna call her out to me now. Miss, police department. Come on over this way, you all right? You have any other weapons on you?
And
okay. Keep your hands up, come towards me.
DFR 1, as soon as you can clear code 4, I'm gonna have to clear for a nearby missing child.
All right, DFR 1, you're clear to disengage. She's requesting to go to the hospital. We're gonna be code 4 here. Thank you for the backup.
Copy that, DFR 1, good job. I'm out.
So just in case that wasn't totally clear, that was all live. An X10 just flew remotely over 5G, controlled from right here in the Cal Theater. Now, the beautiful thing about what you just saw is you can do it today. It fits into existing drone operating paradigms. The X10 can be carried in the trunk of a police car, and if an officer on scene needs extra support, they can put it on the ground and they can get virtual real-time support from a real-time crime center, somebody flying overhead, looking around corners, helping them get the information that they need. And the X10's autonomy enables that to be done at low altitudes to get the vantage point you need. It's really, really incredible stuff. Now, the other key point here is that DFR is not just kind of a one company or one product sort of thing. It takes a lot of different technologies coming together to deliver a solution. And we couldn't be more excited or happier at Skydio to have a really close partnership with Axon, the leader in public safety technology deployment. To tell you more about our work with Axon, I'm incredibly excited to welcome their Chief Product Officer, Jeff Koonins, to share more about what we're doing together.
Thanks so much, Adam. Wow, it is such an incredible honor to be able to be here today and to be able to play even a small part in this incredible launch of the all-new Skydio X10. It's pretty amazing, right? Yeah. So as Adam said, my name's Jeff Koonins. I'm the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Axon. That means I have the privilege of looking after all of our global R&D for our hardware and software products, including Taser, body cameras, digital evidence management, and of course, drones. And with today's launch of the Skydio X10, I just want to talk briefly about 3 things that I'm confident are true and that have a huge role to play in the future of where we're all heading. And it also means that everything that you may hopefully enjoy and like about any of Axon's products, all the credit goes to our incredible teams, and anything that you might not like as much or might have feedback on, I'm sorry, it's all my fault, and we would love to hear from you. So, I am here at Axon because I am so passionate. Nope. Slides? Can we get the right next slide up? Just keep going? All right. So I am here at Axon because I'm so passionate about our moonshot goal to reduce gun-related deaths between police and the public by 50% over the next 10 years. And as I said, with today's launch of the X10, we are incredibly excited, and I want to talk about 3 things that I'm confident are true and that have a huge role to play in our collective efforts to achieve that moonshot goal. Number 1, as you've been hearing all morning, but fundamentally we believe that drones will not only be a useful tool, but they will become one of your most powerful all-day, everyday tools to get everyone home safe. Number two, as you also saw a bit of, about communications. Rich, modern, interactive communications, and those tools are not just for your teenager. They will help save lives, they will help save time, and they will be fundamental to us unlocking so much more power in the future of public safety. And number three, with the leadership, frankly, first and foremost, of every one of you who are in service here in this room, combined with the power of the Axon operating system for public safety, and now with Skydio's unmatched drone hardware, autonomy platform, and software made right here in the USA, that we collectively are unstoppable in the pursuit of that moonshot goal. So first, let's talk a little bit more about DFR and drones as first responder. As you heard from Fritz and others, now thanks to the groundbreaking work by agencies like Chula Vista, we are now starting to really have the data to back up the promise of both the life-saving benefits and, frankly, the dispatch efficiency benefits of DFR. Chula Vista is now seeing up to 20% of their calls for service completely handled solely with a drone, in part because they're able to quickly ascertain which incidents are able to self-resolve far before an officer can even arrive on scene, and then quickly redirect those resources to where they're going to be most useful. And as a result, we at Axon are seeing a 10x increase this year in the number of agencies that are already seeking to start their DFR programs right now. And as we keep collaborating with Skydio and their unmatched autonomy platform and all the other capabilities you're hearing about today, as well as our other key drone technology partners like Dedrone and DroneSense, we are all confident that we are moving towards expanded FAA approval of the beyond visual line of sight approvals that we all know will unlock true exponential expansion of DFR for all of us. Next, let's talk about communications. As you saw in that demo, empowering an officer on the scene with direct, hands-free, eyes-free, one-to-one communication with a remote drone pilot unlocks a completely more natural way of interacting and collaborating in real time when responding to a scene. And they're able to do that without tying up the radio and without even entertaining the hassle of things like setting up custom talk groups or things like that. And far beyond drones, other groundbreaking agencies like the Texas Medical Center have already started live streaming 100% of every call for service right into dispatch. Why? Because it actually improves officer safety, and believe it or not, it actually increases dispatcher efficiency. In fact, Texas Medical Center, since they started doing this, has actually decreased dispatch staffing by 25%, while successfully handling an increased call for service load of 38% on a monthly basis. Huge, perhaps counterintuitive improvements that they're incredibly proud of. And as another example, agencies like Tallahassee PD are already starting to use hands-free, eyes-free, one-to-one voice communications right from their Axon body camera to help provide faster and easier access to bringing in a mental health consult or a language interpreter live on scene, even when they can't physically be there in person. And so putting all that together, last but not least, as I started with, together, we are in pole position to accelerate the adoption and the impact of all of these ideas in the real world, in the real communities that all of you serve every single day. At Axon, we're so proud to provide the world's leading operating system for public safety technology. And as you're seeing today with Skydio, you now have access to the world's leading drone hardware, software, autonomy platform, and more, made right here in the USA. And together with all of your leadership to help unlock that and bring it to reality and to support all of you in the field, we are unstoppable, and we will achieve our moonshot goal. Thank you.
All right. Get slides. Oops. So last, but definitely not least, in our tour through the X10 and everything it can do, we're going to talk about the work that we've done on the autonomy systems. So we're not content to have the best autonomy system out there. We've doubled down on that. We've made huge investments to get to the next level. Let's hear from the team that did it.
I think the biggest obstacle that the utility industry faces in terms of implementing drones is that drones are just really hard to fly.
When I was a company commander in the middle point of the Iraq War, our companies were deploying for 7 months, and they would be back in the US for 5 months. And in a 5-month period of time, you had to train up your Marines on some very, very complicated tasks. So the easier it is to fly, the easier it is to maintain, those all add up.
Our second generation drones were the first drones that really were autonomous enough to operate in unknown, complex environments. Now, with our third generation of drone, we are fundamentally upgrading both the camera package with custom design navigation cameras and also a compute package by having the NVIDIA Orin and state-of-the-art Qualcomm Snapdragon chips that have 10x the deep learning capability. With increased compute power, we're able to process these cameras at higher resolution, and then we're also able to see in lower light and higher dynamic range scenarios. And so we're going to be able to really fundamentally upgrade what our drones can do.
We were able to build a whole camera from scratch as a custom design. Every single part of it was optimized for its maximum functionality, which is very hard to get with off-the-shelf components. We're able to go to more than 2x the sensor resolution that we had compared to our previous generation. So what that means is our sensor resolution is so much better than what we had before that we should be able to detect and avoid much smaller obstacles with much higher accuracy. So that resulted in what I consider is a best-in-class navigation camera.
One of the things that we're doing is we're supporting IR or thermal subject detection for the very first time, building a lot of these features that enable operators to have a better sense of their surroundings, and that's what situational awareness is all about. Right now, we're enabling the ability to autonomously track vehicles and people from very far away in daytime and at night, primarily talking about doing that on the long-wave infrared or the thermal camera. The data collection piece is hard.
One of the big things is that the thermal feed is actually registering a temperature signature, and so we don't have colors, for example, of the clothes that people are wearing, which are typically used by the tracking component. And so we could even use, for example, a detection-only approach and per-frame detections rather than using a detection plus tracking approach, which is computationally more efficient for higher resolution cameras.
We demonstrated against a variety of different backgrounds that we're able to track subjects very effectively.
Having a really powerful camera and sensor package combined with much more powerful computing allows us to be able to build for years on top of this platform to add more and more AI functionality and make the drone more powerful because we have the foundations of the hardware.
Ultimately, the improved autonomy makes the barrier of entry even easier because it takes the burden off of the user to have to be perfect. At the end of the day, you're not looking to make pilots. You're looking to give your existing frontline personnel the tools that they need and the skills that they need to do their jobs more efficiently and more safely.
All right, hello. So as you just saw, autonomy is not a feature for us. It's kind of the whole architecture. So from day one of this company, we've worked to optimize everything, the hardware, the software, the algorithms, the UIs to enable true end-to-end autonomous flight. And that's what you need to do to make it really work. Because when it works, if you're a skilled pilot, it reduces your mental load and makes it so that you can fly more productively. If you're a brand new pilot, it makes it so that you can get up in the air and flying with confidence in just hours. And long term, it means a lot of useful work can get done with no pilot needed at all. So the X10 is our new foundation for AI and autonomy for years to come. And why is that? Well, because it's a flying supercomputer. So this thing has on board the latest flagship NVIDIA Orin processor and a top-of-the-line Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. Together, they have 85 teraops of computing power. So that's 85 trillion operations per second that can be used to run our deep networks and everything else. That's 10x the previous generation drones, which are already the top of the line. So why do we need that much horsepower? Well, earlier, Adam mentioned ChatGPT, and I think a lot of us have gotten a sense of just sort of the amazing general understanding and a reasoning capability of modern AI. And so the X10 is built to enable this kind of general purpose visual understanding on board our drones by being able to actually run foundational models. So that's going to make the drone smarter, it's going to make it faster, it's going to make it get better in the years to come. The most important input to the autonomy system is the 360 navigation cameras. So that's why, as you just heard, we've invested in best-in-class custom sensors for this drone. And the combination of that computing power combined with the cameras just upgrades the level of robot intelligence. So for example, the X10 is shipping with a brand new deep network for obstacle avoidance. This network is bigger and also processes 10 times the number of pixels from our previous generation of drones. And it's based on a modern transformer architecture that's optimized to run on the tensor cores of the NVIDIA GPU. So altogether, this makes it so that we'll see thinner stuff, we'll react faster, all around better. But I think most of you here already know that Skydio is the leader in obstacle avoidance and navigation. So what I really want to focus on is, what we've been building towards is AI applications on top of the core navigation engine that enable really new use cases and paradigms for drones. So 3D scan is a perfect example of one of those applications. So if you're going out to do an inspection today with a manual drone, you're probably doing some kind of 2D lawnmower or simple pattern. And sometimes it's just not a fit for a 3D world. You've got obstructions, you've got terrain. And so 3D scan is powered by our VPS, the visual positioning system, that is not for obstacle avoidance, but it lets the drone build a map that it actually remembers between flights and between multiple different drones to provide centimeter level precision so that the drone can understand the structure and create a tailor-made flight path that captures just the right data. So once you have the data, usually you're going to go and try to make some kind of 3D reconstruction. And you can use one of our photogrammetry partners like Bentley, Pix4D, Drone Deploy, and that usually means you go back to the office or you bring a big computer, you upload the data, and you wait. So with the X10, we're shipping onboard modeling, which means that once the X10 flies, when it lands, it's thinking, and after a while, you get out a textured 3D mesh or a stitched 2D ortho photo that you can use on the spot. And what our customers have said is that this is incredibly useful if you're in the field and you need to make on-the-spot decisions. Or if you want to make sure that you have the right data at a remote site so that you have the confidence that you don't have to go back there. So 3D scan and onboard modeling work really well together, and they're amazing tools. But let's take a preview into what we see as the next step. So 3D scan is built to capture kind of comprehensively every inch of a surface, which is often great, but sometimes you're not there for that. Sometimes an operator has a very specific shot list they're there to get. They want to get what matters, the insulator, the junction, the skid marks, whatever, and they want to get in and out quickly. They don't have time for thousands of photos. And so what we're trying to do is exactly that for 3D scan, extend it so that it understands what we're looking at, what matters, and be able to capture an automated shot list and do it in record time. So we're starting to see early R&D results for this, something that we think can scale and be really powerful. So we're excited to kind of work with you all to develop this within the Skydio ecosystem into something that really has an impact. And let's just take one more step further, now looking into the future. So the combination of the X10's compute with its sensors, with foundational AI, starts to turn the drone into something really different. So we like to think of the drone going from a tool to being a teammate, as a kind of an embodied AI that can communicate with you with natural language and can learn and kind of be trained. So to work with humans, to work with other robots. And that's kind of the vision that we have. That's what we think this hardware foundation lays out for. But all right, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So let's just rewind and talk about what we're announcing today. So far, Skydio's leading vision-based autonomy works primarily in the daytime because there's light for the cameras. So that's about to change. So I'm really excited to introduce today something that nobody else in the world offers. So let's take a look into NightSense. So this is the first time that any drone will have vision-based navigation, obstacle avoidance at night and in the dark. And it does this by having powerful add-on lighting attachments that go in the top and bottom payload bays that provide bright 360 illumination for the drone that then allows the cameras to see and use our autonomy system. So this can be done in either visible light or infrared light. So we've designed a version of these cameras with lenses that can see both visible and IR light in the right ways of capturing the most value out of these lighting attachments while not degrading the daytime performance and sharpness.
The previous generation nav cams only operated in the visible spectrum. But for this one, we optimized it for performance also in the near infrared. So we had to carefully work with make a custom filter, working with a filter design vendor to make sure the band is wide enough to let the active illumination that we're going to provide at night go through with high transmission, but not so wide that it compromises performance during daytime because there's a lot of infrared coming from the sun. It's very challenging, but that's one of the reasons why we had to make it custom. What was available off the shelf doesn't kind of check all the boxes.
This is the super zoom view of our Skydio system, which is a concatenation of the 6 navigation cameras. We have a 6x5 window, and we want to be able to see if the vehicle can navigate at night without hitting the obstacles.
And there's a lot of challenges involved because if you think about the robot itself is lighting up the scene around it, and so the shadows and motion of the drone itself will cause motion in the scene. Any sort of dust will cause reflections and backscatter.
When you're flying at night, a lot of the dust in the air, fog in the air, anything that's small particles that reflect light show up extra bright in the image and throw off a lot of the vision-based algorithms. And then we can train the deep flow network that does your stereo correspondences and your obstacle avoidance. That network can be more robust to basically not identifying those short little streaks as obstacles.
We are able to transition between visual navigation when you're flying close to things and then to GPS-based navigation when you fly further away and there's nothing to illuminate anymore. And so this enables a lot of the safe and trustworthy navigation that's known, Skydio is known for at night. The drone actually sending out this light surrounding the environment and using our same core autonomy engine is really magical and something that we've worked hard with our kind of hardware design and camera design to enable and ship with this product today.
Mike? Yeah, Mike. It's awesome stuff. This is the kind of thing that's only possible with really tight integration between the hardware, the software, the lenses, the algorithms, designing the custom networks, everything coming together to unlock this capability. We developed NightSense because we know that many of our customers' most important missions happen at night. So this could be used for nighttime search and rescue. You could use it to get under the tree canopy to see things you wouldn't be able to see any other way. It could be used for low light inspection. So it's one thing to see NightSense in a video, hear all about it. We thought it'd be fun to give you a live demonstration of this capability, so you all are going to be the first in the world to get to see this. This is a NightSense demo, so we're going to need the lights off. Go lights off. All right, do we have streams up on the TVs? It looks like we do. All right, let's do it. So X10 is now flying based on its onboard infrared illumination using NightSense. We're going to give you a view, so you can imagine you're the operator. You can fly around. We're looking at the thermal camera here. Feel free to wave at it. It's a radiometric camera, so we know if you've got COVID. Hopefully nobody does. All right, so here it's using visual navigation for state estimation, so the only way it knows where it is because it's looking at those cameras. Now we're going to take it up a notch. Let's lower it down to obstacle height. Cave, who's flying this thing, even though he leads solutions engineering for us, he's not a very good pilot. He's just going to jam the stick forward, and we'll see what X10 can do. So now we're actually looking at the navigation cameras of X10. So this is how the drone sees the world. So you're seeing the navigation cameras stitched together. This is a new feature on X10. gives you much wider field of view, and no problem. X10 seamlessly navigates through all the obstacles. So the final level here, so you've seen it avoid some wooden structures. The final test is, can it avoid a CEO? So let's replace the wood with me. One of the other cool features we've unlocked on X2, or X10, excuse me, this is actually a feature that's so cool our marketing team hasn't been able to figure out a name for it yet. But basically what this enables you to do is it enables you to see the 3D structures the way the drone does. So if we can go ahead and turn that on, you're going to get to see the way the drone sees the world. So if I walk up to it here, you see it recognizes me. All right, let's see if it'll avoid me. All right, that, ladies and gentlemen, is NightSense. All right, good to see you all again. So one of the areas where we know this matters most is in the defense world. Many of the most important military missions happen at night, and that's a good setup for our next speaker here. So you heard this theme, and you'll hear it again. When we want to do something, we try to go out and find the best people in the world at that thing to help our customers navigate all the challenges in front of them. So our next speaker is our president of our global government business. He spent his career in the Air Force flying F-16s. After he left the Air Force, he joined Microsoft, where he led their national security team, helped bring Microsoft's products to the defense world, helped deploy cutting-edge AR and VR technology to the Army. After that, he built the team and the business, the government team and the government business at Scale AI, and now he's at Skydio. I couldn't be more proud or excited to welcome Mark Valentine.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Valentine. Thank you, Adam, for an outstanding introduction. I'm quite sure I don't deserve that, but it is a pleasure to be with you all today. And I'm also really excited and really honored to be on the team here at Skydio at this really important moment, not only for our nation, but free nations around the world and their militaries. Because we are once again struggling with how do we prepare for great power competition. And I recognize this might sound really weird coming from someone who actually sat in the cockpit of an F-16 for over 20 years and flew combat missions, but I think an important part of that preparation for great power competition is with small drones. Small drones are having a meaningful impact on the battlefield. And that's not just my opinion. We are seeing this happen around the world where militaries are loading up with these small drones because they are having an impact. Specifically small drones because they give great flexibility, and they're having a meaningful impact on missions across military operations, whether it's ISR or intelligence, surveillance, or reconnaissance, search and rescue, explosive ordnance disposal, and even site security. Of course, I think the biggest example that we have today is coming from the war in Ukraine. And if we could go ahead and play that video, we're seeing the Ukrainians make a meaningful impact on the battlefield with small drones. They're using them to find enemy formations, to understand the enemy scheme of maneuver, to improve their targeting, and as you're seeing in this video, actually document war crimes for prosecution after this war hopefully ends very quickly. Well, I'm sorry here. As we've seen, though, in conflicts throughout human history, when one side gains an advantage using some sort of technology, the other side will always seek to deny that technological advantage. What we're seeing right now in the Ukraine-Russia conflict are the Russians are turning to robust electromagnetic warfare, or EW. And essentially what they're trying to do is jam satellite navigation signals so the drones can't get where they need to go, and also jam command and control links so that operators can't make them do what they want them to do. And if you listen to some reports, we are seeing that this jamming is so robust that the Ukrainians are losing up to 10,000 drones per month. 10,000 per month. So that's an effective counter that the Russians have put together. So while I've used a cartoon to display this and illustrate it for you and somewhat simplify it, make no bones about this, this feature counter-feature competition that is going on is deadly serious, and it is only accelerating. So the pace of this technology change is going off the charts. And if we, as a set of free nations, want to maintain our global competitiveness, technology companies and governments around the world absolutely must partner together to deliver the best kit we can as quickly as possible at the speed of need to our warfighters. At Skydio, we believe that means using commercial, off-the-shelf, or COTS products delivered by dual-use companies who can not only innovate rapidly, but use the economies of scale we get from our commercial operation to deliver big tech in big quantities at rapid speeds. And by that, I mean time cycles measured in maybe 1 or 2 years instead of the multi-decadal cycle that we've become used to with military acquisitions based off this, my favorite JSIDS chart. So thankfully, it sounds like people are starting to get the message, and we've heard Dr. Kathleen Hicks, the Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Defense Department, recently announced the Replicator Initiative. Now what this basically says is that small autonomous systems are important on the modern battlefield. I agree. I also think this is a tacit acknowledgement that small drones are an important part of military mass. And for those who aren't military scholars, mass is an important concept in military operations, and military theorists have been writing about this for literally 2,000, almost 2,300 years when Sun Tzu first started talking about it. At a high level, what it really means is the ability to concentrate power at a specific place at the right time to achieve the desired results. And if we've learned nothing from what has gone on in the Ukraine conflict right now, when we as free nations are building our forces in this great competition, especially against people that we expect to use robust electromagnetic warfare against us, we absolutely have to be building smart drones at scale and doing it now. At Skydio, we believe that AI is the antidote to that EW. It allows us to operate where others can't, and it allows us to not only create mass, or even affordable mass, but an effective, affordable mass. So at Skydio, we are proud of what we've done with the X2. It's become a leading platform, and in many ways, the trusted platform of the US federal government and many allied nations, 12 so far. But we're even more excited to talk about and expand those capabilities and expand that trust that we've created with the X10D. So we've established through this discussion so far that warfighters need effective, affordable mass, and that means smart drones. The X10D is our answer. The X10D, the D being a defense variant of the X10, is designed with advanced sensors and advanced radios, and it literally makes this thing an ISR machine that is smart, small, and survivable. And you see here that it's gonna be NDAA compliant. We're also seeking Blue UAS. So as we walk through the X10D, you'll notice first that it is all gray, and that's to reduce visual signature. It's got the advanced sensors that you've already heard about that will allow our warfighters to go further, go faster, see further, and do more on the battlefield. It is ruggedized. You saw the IP rating. Also, it has the open modular architecture so that we can seamlessly integrate with existing battlefield awareness tools, communications protocols, controllers, RAS-A, ATAC, Tomahawk, et cetera. So we think that integration is extremely important. The attachment bays are there, so not only are warfighters prepared for today's fight, but also tomorrow's fight for sensors that we don't even know we need right now. Also, we have the multiband radio, which will allow us to deploy this drone in diverse wireless environments around the world, and also counter jamming. And this game-changing, world-leading autonomy engine that you heard Hike talk about allows our warfighters to operate seamlessly day and night and automate many of their flying tasks so they can concentrate on the fight and not the flight. We've also added a ton of more innovations to the system, and I'll quickly go through them. You already know that we have the world-leading FLIR Boson Plus camera on board for the thermal imaging. We've also added the ability to track subjects in IR. So any of you who have tried to follow a thing or a person with manual joysticks on a drone know how hard this is, and hopefully you understand how important it is. So with our autonomy engine, we can now identify a person or a vehicle and make sure that that stays centered in the frame as it moves. So with the X10D, you can now do this confidently day or night based on the thermals. We've also put very, very precise coordinate generation capability into the X10D, and with this feature, the drone can determine its location and based on visual cues, give very, very accurate coordinates to the center of the crosshair so that those coordinates can be communicated to other team members for recovery or action. And we fundamentally believe that these accurate coordinates will increase precision on the battlefield. And with increased precision, you've got better survivability and reducing the risk of unintended consequences. Much like the X2D, the defense variant of the X2, the defense variant of our X10 is also going to have the Skydio Scout capability, which automates convoy security. Literally, you take your drone, put it in the air, and drive off, and the X10D is going to tag along with you. This is not unlike having a long, extensible pole with a camera on top. You can lift up to just about any altitude and point in any direction so that you can see threats coming your way. Before I leave the stage, though, I do want to mention the thing that I am most excited about with my time here at Skydio is our vision for the future. And in that vision, we are fundamentally in a position to change the way human beings interact with robots. So you heard Hike talk about the flying supercomputer that is the X10. Well, all of that powerful compute unlocks amazing innovation potential that we already have dedicated engineering teams at Skydio looking to exploit in a multi-drone future. So if you think about drone ops today, most of you probably think about a single human taking out a controller and with their fingers communicating their intent to a single drone. That's great, and that works. But when we look at the trend lines of the future, we see a future battlefield with orders of magnitude more drones in them. And in that world, that one-to-one interaction between human and machine will never scale. We absolutely have to get to a one-to-many situation where that single human can translate their intent and distribute it amongst tens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of intelligent flying machines who can then independently reason on how they can work together to achieve that intent. The applications for this in the defense space are off the charts, and they're off the charts in the enterprise space as well. And if you were to see any of our early testing, I'm telling you, it would be to get you extremely fired up for the possibilities, which are soon to be realities for our warfighters. As I close, I just want you all to know that we take our role here at Skydio very seriously as the free world's largest at-scale drone manufacturer. And we also see it as our mission to build this industrial-based capability so that we can continually to deliver these advancements to our warfighters in the future. So anyway, that's enough talk from me. I appreciate your time. It's time for me to get back to delivering game-changing drones to governments around the world. It's time for you all to get back to Ascend and to Adam. But I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you this afternoon. Adam.
Expect to hear an F-16 firing up any second now. All right, so we've talked about X10, we've talked about all the incredible tech in here, we've shown you what it can do. We thought it'd be useful to just quickly hear from some folks, some customers that have actually gotten hands-on with this, gotten an early look. So here are their reactions.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost read that name tag on that oil switch right there.
That's great. Definitely significantly improved in how I could read the license plate on the other side of the parking lot over here.
And it's still legible.
The applications are endless for us. We're trying to integrate it into everything. We can do this quicker, more effectively, remotely. Big time game changer for us.
Pretty much plug and play.
The design I like, much simpler. It's just simple, fold, spring armed, leaps and bounds improvement.
Yeah, the gimbal is slick. Yeah. Lighter, a lot lighter than it looks.
I like this technology personally. The obstacle avoidance and the way that they don't want to run into anything makes a big difference.
Our chief tried to crash, it didn't happen.
The quality of the zoom and now that boost button, that's pretty cool.
Showing real-time build out of a 3D model. That ability is priceless, really.
That's really
cool. Yeah. We drive 8 hours to a project site, and if we don't collect everything, we're hosed.
You can read the expiration on it. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. With that resolution, you can do it from a quarter mile away pretty easily.
It's the easiest thing that we could have. It's priceless.
Exactly what I've been asking for 2 years now. Very impressive.
All right, so we talked about being pioneers. We have a lot of visionaries in the audience here. So imagine we're out there on the prairie. Now we've got some X10s, which is great. It's probably going to make hunting for food easier, keep us safer. But there's still other challenges out there. The drone by itself is not sufficient. And one of the things we're trying to organize ourselves to do at Skydio is work through all the different barriers and challenges that come up. So one of the first ones, we hear this all the time from our customers, especially those that are standing up new drone programs, is we don't have enough pilots. You know, there aren't too many people out there who are expert drone pilots. So this is the major motivation for Skydio Autonomy. The fundamental goal is to break through the barrier and put you in a position to give a drone to everybody in your organization who can benefit from one, not necessarily everybody who's a drone pilot. So the product is designed to be fundamentally easier to use, but we're also pairing that with training and services. So one of the things that we're announcing here today is a partnership with UAV Coach to offer Part 107 training. So you can buy it through us as part of buying our products, which lowers the barrier even more. So there's no reason, easy as pie, for anybody in the organization to get the training they need to fly one of these systems. So once you've got pilots, the next challenge is how do you scale beyond that? These images were all generated by AI, by the way. So we thought we'd live into it here. You can type in anything you want and get beautiful images of what the computer imagines out there on the frontier. So the next challenge is breaking through that one drone to one operator barrier. And this is the major motivation for DOC. So some of you have probably seen this. At the end of last year, we announced our DOC Early Access program. Since that time, we've delivered 350 DOCs. Our customers have flown 20,000 missions, and we've accumulated over 1,700 flight hours. Pretty incredible progress in a pretty short period of time. Now, we're not going to announce an X10 dock here today. We're definitely working on it. But the key thing I want everybody to understand is that X2 and Skydio 2 are still a great way to get started with dock operations. One of the things that we've seen is, this is really transformative, disruptive technology. It fundamentally changes operating paradigms, and there's a lot of things that go into adopting this and making it successful within an organization. We've been through a lot of this with our customers on X2 and Skydio 2, and we're setting ourselves up to help people down that journey. So we offer deployment services, we offer training for operations, so everybody knows how to use the thing. We help you navigate the regulatory environment, and we'll partner with you as closely as you want to help you realize the ultimate business value that you're going after, getting the data that matters, getting it into the systems that you care about. So we thought the best way to understand this would actually be to hear from one of our customers. We're incredibly excited to be partnered with PG&E, and here's their story using Skydio Docs.
It's a little new beyond visual line of sight operations with the remote dock. You just have to get used to not being there. It's going to be a whole new ball game.
Starting with our drone program back in 2019, employees take drones out to the field, they fly the assets, they capture the imagery.
All right, taking off.
Most hazardous part of their job is probably getting to the structure, right? So it's a lot of access issues. It could be, hey, we can't find this structure, or the road is out.
With a Skydio dock, we can remotely deploy drones stationed at substations or other facilities for inspections, emergency response.
You log in into Skydio Clouds, you connect to the vehicle online, and then you can put it in the air and capture data in a matter of minutes.
All right, launching.
From a centralized control room, the pilot has the ability to pick and choose where he wants to fly and which assets he needs to fly, without having to have that employee drive to that substation to fly that asset.
Without a BVLOS waiver, you can't operate beyond visual line of sight, so you require a visual observer on site.
Our recent authorization for the Skydio dock from the FAA allows for full remote operations.
With the Skydio dock, a lot quicker response time. Say we do have a fault, we could send them out to look at that predetermined location and stream the video back to where a QEW lineman can look at that video and see it before they even have to leave their yard.
Thanks to Skydio Autonomy, we can navigate and operate safely in very challenging environments because we don't rely on GPS or any other sensors. Unique artificial intelligence algorithms, 6 navigation cameras, and a supercomputer on board provides different capabilities for the drone to operate fully autonomously.
I've seen it avoid stuff out in the field, seen it get into tight spaces. There's a lot of trust being built with Skydio.
For me, it goes 7 years back when I first started. I've been hearing them talk about beyond visual line of sight just over and over and over again, but now it's finally here. And really, it's going to completely change how we utilize unmanned systems.
It's been a great opportunity for Skydio to learn how DOC Solutions evolve those drone programs for an organization such as PG&E.
I'm confident that we will have full remote operations in the future where drones will be living at a station, an alarm will trigger an event, and that drone would take off and get eyes on that risk immediately without any human intervention.
The automation, it's going to be the future.
How much it's going to open up the use case for drones, there's no ceiling.
Thank you to PG&E. There's some really great stuff in there. And we're going to take it a step further now. So this is the most fun part of the day. I'm really looking forward to being joined on stage now by 3 of our customers. And their organizations and their titles basically speak for themselves. So I'm going to just roll through this quickly. We've got Jason Regan, the VP of Inspections at PG&E. We've got Bob Brock, Director of Aviation at Kansas Department of Transportation. And we've got Chief Shell, oversees all of patrol at NYPD. Please join me in welcoming them on stage. All right. All right, so we probably have some decent ideas based on the organizations you guys are from, but I thought it'd be great to just start by hearing, outside of drones, like, what are you guys working on? What are the challenges you're working through? Tell us a little bit more just about what your organizations are up to. Maybe we can start with you, Chief Shell.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite. I'm the Chief Patrol in NYPD. I supervise over 20,000 people that report directly to me. I'm basically responsible for the day-to-day out-hour operations of our city. And for our team, for me, it's all about public safety. So how do we improve our public safety? How do we get back to where we were pre-2020? How do we keep our community safe? And technology we use, but drones that we started using already have been a game changer for us. And any technology, this is about public safety, right? Without public safety, our city can't thrive. So public safety is key, technology is key. The X10, I saw some capabilities. I was sitting back there, wow, I could read a plate from how many feet, 350 feet?
800 feet.
I thought 800 feet, right? Yeah. Thermal, you know, that's about...
halfway up the Empire State Building, maybe.
That's right. Infrastructure, obviously New York City has a huge mass infrastructure. So all this together, technology, challenges, keep our city safe, and we're willing to take any technology from Skydio or anybody that will help us do that.
Awesome. So I think most of us are probably familiar, well, we're familiar with all these organizations. Most of us are probably customers of PG&E. So we have some familiarity there. But Jason, can you talk us through, like, what does inspections at PG&E mean? What is your day-to-day? What are the challenges you're thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to all of you. I think you said pioneers out there in this space. The video that you saw earlier was a collaboration. I know you said customer, but it's really a partnership and the true spirit of interdependence between teams. So thank you. And thanks to all of you out there that are helping change the way that we go about ensuring public safety, inspecting of assets, and having situational awareness in areas that we desperately need that in. If you smell in the air a little bit right now, it's a little bit of smoke. And I know Adam, you and I said, hey, look, it's not about wildfires, but Pacific Gas and Electric, along with our peer utilities in the South, have taken a stand that catastrophic wildfires shall stop. And there's no only if it involves PG&E equipment, only if it's in our service territory. We need to stop catastrophic wildfires from starting, and you are all part of that pioneer opportunity to do so. So we inspect about 500,000 distribution assets by ground, and we inspect about 60,000 transmission line assets by both ground and air. That does not include our patrols or our substations. And so I work for all the fellow coworkers at Pacific Gas and Electric, born and raised in California, quite frankly here in San Francisco. It's my state, it's our company. And we're looking to do everything we can, stay tenacious in our approaches, stay as owners, be curious with technology, and continue to implement and support new approaches that promote, to Chief's point, public safety, minimize the impact to our customers. And I know we had this conversation back at your headquarters that involved, it's one thing to be able to go beyond visual line of sight and the advancements and the rewards with it. But it's another thing to work with a homeowner to say, we don't need you to put your cattle away. We don't need you to stop growing the food that serves America in here purely because we need to come in and inspect. And you and your team have helped us provide that type of capability. And then the last piece I'll just push on quickly. I know we got a lot of questions here, but it's the quickness and ease to get eyes on site with a threat. And that threat could be equipment that needs replacement, could be an active threat relative to our state, or our communities, or our infrastructure, and we just appreciate the opportunity to partner with you in this area of advancement.
Great, thank you, Jason. Bob, can you help us understand what's the purview of KDOT? What do you oversee? What do you care about?
Absolutely. So the Department of Transportation in Kansas has about 10,000 lane miles of road to maintain each year. We maintain and work with 140 public use airports, but I was specifically hired and brought into this team from my background. Mark Valentine was an interesting segue. I too was in the military, working with drones and new technologies and things like that with the warfighters that you had on the screen. And one of the things that we find in Kansas, we have a unique infrastructure that's very cool. It is an aircraft manufacturing culture. So we call it the air capital of the world. Every state that has anything to do with anything that flew is the air something of the world. We build about 73% of the small airplanes in the world there. So 19,000 people every day are building airplanes. That's a lot of infrastructure to take innovation and scale it and build brand new things that are very useful. So there's a few things that we're working real hard towards, and as we work with other teams for Departments of Transportation, at other companies, I know it may be surprising, but there is more than one company that builds drones that are nowhere near the culture and the attitude of working with our teams to say, help us build a capability. Whatever the device needs to be to deliver that capability, that's the kind of partnering we're looking for. So we're very grateful, and it's tremendously exciting. I'm with you. The teams that we've known about and heard their names for several years, it's exciting to see them in person and say, that's that person that does that automation, and that's awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. So let's get into where we are now with drones, and maybe we can start with you, Chief Shell. It seems like New York City has leaned in a big way to this technology. I think we've got a picture of Mayor Adams holding one of our controllers.
You got my boss here?
I don't know if we got it live. Why now? Why now, and how are you thinking about drones? Where are you today?
Look, public safety. I mean, it's the name of the game. We'll take anyone that has something to offer to keep our city safe. We're a city of 8.5 million people. To say the city doesn't sleep, I wish it would, because I can get some sleep. I think the amount of phone calls I got sitting in the back are amazing. But hours. So the drones now we started using, and they've been tremendous in so many areas for us. I just give you examples of how we use them now. So these are real life situations. Unfortunately, over the summer we had a couple of kids, more than one, going to the East River, and we lost them. But the drone capability, we found them quicker to give closure to the family. I mean, that's just huge, right? We've used them in a lot of mitigation. So parks where we have violence, large groups of people, strategically put them up, use the audio, clear the park, mitigate any violence, keep our cops safe, keep the community safe, and we were successful. Just over 2 weeks ago, we have the Caribbean Day Parade in Brooklyn. It brings about 1.5 million people to the parade. Tends to have historic violence. And we had a bad situation where I was on the ground where we had a couple of people shot and stabbed, and after 30 years of experience, I know when retaliation is coming right in front of me, and we were able to get the drone up right away. Situational awareness, like we were speaking about, what are we dealing with, how many thousand on that corner, what do I need on the field to mitigate that, get the proper resource in. We cleared the corner, no issues, no one got hurt, kept the community safe, we achieved our objective. So these are the things that the drones are going to be doing for us, and it's going to take us to the next level. And we have a mayor that supports crime fighting. He supports us, and he's number one into technology. If he hears something about technology, I'm on a plane within a week going somewhere. But he's a big supporter of public safety, and that's the key to success for New York City.
Great. Bob, where are you guys today with drones?
Well, we're having a tremendously fun time. I am thrilled to share the stage with the chief because we have 2.8 million people in the entire state of Kansas.
But you might be ahead of them in drone deployment.
Well, per capita, I guarantee it. But at the end of the day, quite honestly, we are 90% of the cities in the state of Kansas are less than 4,000 people. 90%. That means there's a lot of ground to cover. We're blessed with natural disasters like tornado and flooding and windstorms and ice storms that are so remote. We just recently had a ranching family had an ice storm in the far western Kansas on the border of Colorado. Such a tremendous whiteout that there's no way to tell the status of their cattle herd. Big deal in that part of the country, and their lifeblood. When the weather cleared, every single one of those cattle had perished due to the ice. And there's no way to assess that and no way to find that out. We're using things and fielding new technologies for the purpose of saying, what does full motion video, EO, IR, all of that sensor capability deliver? And how do we do that in a way that is as fast and efficient and effective? A DOT is so much more about effectiveness. We have a tough time with a spectrum of, are we super effective, or are we using the taxpayer money to be innovative enough that we're not being inefficient? That is a critical, tough thing. I don't want a young 18-year-old with a 20-ton ice truck or rock salt truck experimenting with how he's going to be flipping that truck around in the middle of a highway on our 10,000 miles of, that's not the time. However, if I find out and Brendan or Jen or Adam comes and talks to me at a conference and says, why in the world don't you use this capacity? Because the thing you're using is so bulky and inefficient. It's awful. So we really fight that really hard. We're looking and trying to innovate on the innovative side of the spectrum because it's our responsibility as stewards to truly say, how are you spending my money?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Jason, so we have some insight from the video, but I'd love to hear, where are you guys today with drones? What are you doing with them?
Yeah, so look, you had a great slide up there about where we were at, technology and time. Look, technology is going to continue to evolve, so that's always going to be that leading corner. At my company, at our company, Pacific Gas and Electric, it's really about ensuring we serve the customer appropriately. And we haven't always done that. And I'm humble enough to say that we got to do better, and we're well on our way to doing so already. Now, with that said, we provide a life-saving commodity. Chief talked about the public safety. You've talked about the challenges with Mother Nature and some of the disasters that are seen in your state. We cannot forget that every moment, whether it's gas or electric, that commodity is helping save lives. It's helping ensuring that food is on the table, that our garage doors open, that our internet's capable so that the thousands watching this can actually see it. The ability to stay nimble in the space to understand when that power is for some reason interrupted or unavailable, whether planned or unplanned. How quickly can we assess the situation, follow up with a human resource that is able to turn the wrenches and make the right decisions? And in the drone space, for the last 5 years, we've been experimenting with a lot of different approaches, and we've been partnering with our partner IOUs, SCE and SDGA, my thanks to them, because we're learning from them also, on different approaches, either data capture, back in a controlled space, look at it, or on the ground, at the tower, at the asset, with the drone looking at it, right? This capability to be able to do it beyond visual line of sight, I spoke to it earlier, not interrupting customers by way of accessing their property, whether we have the right to do so or not, where it can be a disruptor. We want to advance our capabilities here. And it allows for those few precious moments, if not hours at times, to get ahead of whatever the condition may be, a threat or not, and work with our partners in police, law enforcement, CAL FIRE, U.S. Forest Service, other entities to let them know we have eyes on site, we know what's occurring, and we're here to help. And so this space of utilizing drones, this aerial technology, to have us react quicker and be nimble in events, whether planned or unplanned, is priority for us. We've inspected our assets. We're over a 100-year-old company for good reason, primarily by ground, our entire history. This is a game changer for us. We're progressing in the space, but we've got to stay ever forward-looking, have unorthodox thinking, be geniuses in this space in partnership and collaboration. And I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and actually see some of what we're doing, and looking forward to contributing.
Awesome. I mean, one of the things that's interesting to me, I think the inspection applications within energy utilities are pretty intuitive. It makes sense that you can use a drone to get up there and get a vantage point that you wouldn't otherwise see. One of the things that we've learned a lot working with PG and others is that there's a really important real-time component to it. Like if the power goes out, if there's a potential issue, in a lot of ways it's similar to public safety. You want to get eyes on scene as quickly as possible to get the information you need to dispatch and respond appropriately. It's one of the areas where I think there's interesting overlap from our standpoint in our products and how we serve both sets of customers. So I've been invited by our panelists to not avoid the difficult questions. Yeah. One of the ones that comes up all the time in law enforcement.
Why do I get the difficult one?
I'm sure there's some coming this way.
You know, one of the things that comes up frequently in drones in law enforcement is what's the community reception going to be? What's the community response going to be? How do you think about that with NYPD? You know, you've got 8.5 million people. It's a big community. Might be the biggest city community in the world. How do you guys think about that?
Well, look, our community, who is our community? The people who complain too much. Well, I want to speak to the community that we serve. As long as you're transparent with the community, you're honest with the community, and you describe and identify how you're doing it and how you want to do it and keep them safe, the community I serve is all for it. The fringes, if you will, the people who complain who have other motives, the politics is, I'll leave that to the elected officials. Okay, the community I serve, the people I know in New York City, they're on board. Again, I'll say it again, public safety. Everybody wants their block in New York City to be safe so they can go about their business. And that's the name of the game. So just, again, transparency, letting them know what's going on, showing them. You know, the visual is so powerful to see what we can do with these drones. And in New York City, we take every opportunity in our agency, under our police commissioner, under our mayor, to control the narrative. We are no longer going to let the narrative be dictated to us. We're going to dictate the narrative. We're playing offense, and we're going to do it right, but we're going to keep our city safe, and that's the bottom line.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that you can kind of understand some concern, like the idea of police using drones can be, you know, are they going to be invading our privacy? What does this mean? But when you really see the use cases and what folks are doing with drones, I mean, it's just transformative stuff for public safety, like being able to perform search and rescue missions, you know, find the missing bodies that you mentioned. I mean, these are, and I think we've seen this over and over again, where when people see the details of what you're actually doing with the product and the impact it has, you know, not that there aren't legitimate concerns, but it totally transforms the perspective. So I think the proactive and transparent approach really seems to be the winning one
Right,
here.
the narrative. We're not going over your backyard and randomly see if you're using Boar's Head versus Oscar Mayer. We're not doing that. All right? But that's the false narrative that we have to combat daily, right? So we're not doing it.
Yeah.
We're not flying over randomly. Hey, let's just go fly the drones. Emergency situations, public safety. We're a dynamic agency. We have to move fast, hour to hour. Things are always happening.
Yeah.
And we're going to control that narrative.
And if I may, real quick, to Chief's point, through partnership and greater use, we, as utility providers, I'm representing Pacific Gas / the utility providers in the state of California that are in this area are helping enable the narrative that you just spoke to that needs to change and be on offense, because we're in the communities doing asset inspection, doing outage response. And I will tell you, the first sight of a drone by some customers, if not, are get it out of here, don't want it, what are you doing? And it's about talking, leading with love, leading with empathy, and saying, look, this allows me to stay on this side of the street, fly over your house to a rear easement, take a look at our distribution assets without having to have you put your dog away or disrupt anything you may have ongoing. And this technology makes us more efficient, more productive, it's safer. And then when Chief and the teams come through for a real emergency, something that actually needs emergency response right now, and God bless them for it, that conversation's already had. So we aren't in every community yet, but through this collaboration, through air, police, utilities, we're starting to purposely be intrusive in changing the narrative that this technology is helping provide safety and the life-saving commodity that we're speaking about.
Yeah. I think what I might have heard there is a commitment to put Skydio drones in all of your future communications materials.
You know, I knew the tough questions were coming.
I think it's
maybe if you have that 49er red instead of that Giants blue, we might, you know.
My response would have been stock options.
I think you just placed an order.
We continue to we have about 50 of your products on property currently. We started about 12. I will say it's a collaboration, it's an effort, it's a working session. We're in the lab together, as you would say it. And the one little bit of opportunity, if I may, on behalf of a few of the coworkers, is just be receptive to feedback. This is your space. We know you're the experts and the pioneers. I really shouldn't put quotes on that because you truly are pioneers here. We're the operators, right? Let's work collaboratively together. There's this saying that engineers want to be in charge, operators are. I think we both are, but we've got to have our ears open. We've got to be curious, we've got to be nimble, and we've got to continue to advance our capabilities collectively. So whether that's purchases or not, I know we're already in the boat working on things, so thank you.
Awesome. I'm in charge, just to be clear.
That's right.
As the person in charge, I'll say to our team, let's make sure we listen to PG&E's feedback. So,
Adam, let me jump on that. A couple of quick thoughts. I really love, first of all, 3 passionate guys that care about getting it done.
Yes, sir.
I mean, no joke, we care that this works. And the reason that it's easy to love this organization is because you do too. And that matters to us. So I wanted to share that one thought. The other thought is, when we go out and do public engagement, every time, and we do it because it's rural. When we go to a town, there is 150 people in the city hall, and that's the town. And they're concerned about privacy, property rights, all that business. What about drones, the whole deal? When my team and I go out there and sit down with them with the drone and we say, when you have a child lost in the state park, do you care how we find him? In no way do you care. You just want him found. If that drone gets the job done, fine and good. When I lived in New Mexico, I had my pickup truck stolen. I'm from Kansas. I don't talk cool like the chief. I don't work for a big company like Jason. I'm just a guy that likes privacy and big open spaces and shooting guns and all kinds of fun things.
Don't we all?
But what I don't, yes sir. If there's an empty segment after this, that's where we're probably going to be. But I'll tell you, every single time that somebody comes and talks to me about privacy, I say, I don't want any part of somebody monitoring my property until 1 second after I walked out into my sidewalk and said, my truck's been stolen. And now I want satellites retasked and special forces coming in with their blacked out helicopters to get my pickup back. So what's the no joke deal? What's the value that a drone delivers? It's about the value. And nobody cares about that drone being in their backyard when it's there to save a kid, something like that, that's super important to them. So we're grateful for the opportunity.
Want to hear us saying in New York City?
I do.
I don't know if I do.
GSD. You know GSD?
We love GSD.
Adam's afraid.
Ground sample distance?
Not a ground. Listen, I told Adam yesterday, I got an 850 in my SATs. I don't know what the hell that means.
Did you see the sensor section?
Yeah.
I know what
GSD. In this room, it's get stuff done. At the bar, you can replace the S with something else. But at the bottom, like, get it done.
Yeah. All right, let's wind down here. Maybe just a couple words on the future. What are you excited about? Where do you see this going the next 5 or 10 years? You can go last. I put you on the spot.
I can go last?
Yeah,
I'll
let's
go
start
first.
with you, Bob.
Sure. So, a dear friend years ago in Dallas, Texas, was named Zig Ziglar. He's a public speaker, exceptional motivational guy. He talks about training fleas. Has anybody heard this story about training fleas? If you take fleas and put them in a jar and put a lid on them, they will jump they jump about 8 inches. Fun fact, I just learned up, had to know the number.
I like that.
They bang to the top of the lid. Hit the lid, hit the lid, hit the lid, hit the lid. Finally, they take off the lid and set it back out there. With hundreds of fleas inside that jar, not a single one of them will jump out because they've learned what it takes to bang into that ceiling and say, there's no getting out. And so with the lid open, every single one of them will die in place. That's a picture of large organizations. That's a picture of government. That's a picture of we know what we knew. So what do we know next? My hope is we can poke holes in those lids and introduce and have the partnerships with innovative companies that will actually reach out and convince us that it's safer to spend that government tax dollar on the new thing than it was the old thing that was dumber, slower, and less effective. So that's my hope. That's our message that we want to get out there. And surrounded by passionate cats like this, I think we can get it done.
I'm going to go buy some fleas later.
Oh.
So the opposite of that, we want smarter, more effective, and faster?
Yes, sir.
That sounds like a great tagline for the product.
I think it's good.
I think I heard that before, yeah.
Chief Shell, what do you see in the future with drones?
All right, so I'm just looking at the presentation. We'll fall from the back. We'll talk X10, what I'm envisioning in my head. Just the speed to get up, the duration can be up, the distance it can go, the thermal, and the license. This is all crime fighting tools. I foresee in the very near future, what's long-term, what's short-term. We're probably going to train our recruits in the police academy to how to use handheld drones. I think in the near future we'll have them. I have 77 police precincts. I envision our precincts having at least 1+. And for the law enforcement in the room, the classic scenario would be you chase someone, they go into a backyard, you got to keep yourself safe. You surround the yard. If you really surround a block, I see a quick deployment of drone. I see the thermal. I see the finding where this person is, and I see calling in our we have SWAT emergency service unit to keep us safe, to get the job done. No one gets hurt. The community doesn't get hurt, and we move on. That's the most simplistic way I could see it. Our agency answers a staggering over 10 million calls for service. 10 million. We talked about response times with the drones. I envision our drones being deployed to some of our quality of life calls for service to get there quick, see what the situation is, and we need it. Is that another agency? I see, for those in the room of law enforcement, again, shot spotter technology, when we get alerted that there's gunfire, guns being shot, to get there quickly with the autonomous drone. This is more the future, right? Near future.
Near future.
The autonomous drone getting there and just giving us a bird's eye view of what's going on prior to us getting there for safety and investigative value. A red car fleeing and you capture that plate from 800 feet. Game changer. So we might not get there as quick as we want to be for various circumstances, but for our detectives to solve that crime, again, I think these were a game changer. This is a game changer. This is technology. Let's get to it.
And with the number of cops, that's a terrible, law enforcement officers across our state, we have about 5,000. It's the one guy in the county, it might be the county sheriff that shows up, and he's the only one. We're working real hard, and the X10's exciting because as well as the other products. We just changed out all of the drones in Kansas to this brand of drones, to Skydio drones, because it was a risk management choice. Is it safer to fly a drone that will keep itself from crashing into things? Yes, that's a good government choice. Do we send somebody to 6 months of aviation training, or do we buy a drone that will just not crash itself? Hallelujah. Beyond line of sight operations is doable in our country. And if we get our law enforcement guys to be able to do that with drones that won't crash into things, that's just a good government choice to make. So we're making it. Might not be here next year, but we'll see. But I don't think that's true. I think we're going to demonstrate with your help that these kind of things are possible.
You know, I just want to mention, to fly a helicopter in New York City, it's $1,750 an hour.
That's right.
The drone, you just need a signal and a charge. There's a cost effectiveness to it also.
We love competing against helicopters.
Adam, can I bring it home on thinking differently, like what the future is? At least from Pacific Gas and Electric and the coworkers I'm representing and the peer utilities. Again, interdependence matters. What I saw today, the capabilities there, if not already. When you turn the lights off in here, the drone flew around. So I'd like to see it proven, without exception, going forward. But beyond that, here I'll give you a challenge for you pioneers in the room. San Francisco is made up of primarily underground electric equipment. We have vaults the size of this room that have large transformers in them. Here's what I want. Here's what we want. And I have a gentleman I love, his best man at my wedding, introduced me to my wife. It's a cable splicer in San Francisco. And every day he goes into a vault, whether it's routine or emergency, not knowing the conditions. So Adam, I want underground drone inspections, full AI, letting my brother-in-law know, who's a coworker at PG&E, while he's getting his gear on, his PPE, which is equipment that you have before you go into enclosures. And this drone's able to go in after whatever incident we may have had or just routine maintenance and say, you've got an overheating transformer, a failed splice, a biohazard, and a couple of rungs on that ladder missing. So if they have situational awareness, I know we got it, you got it, and those in this room and across the industry in this space have the capability to bring us beyond visual line of sight, above ground, blue sky conditions, and some challenging, infrastructure. I got that. Think differently. Let's go underground. We want to be a utility that's able to provide genius thinking in spaces beyond what just the eyes tell us that may be capable.
All right. Well, the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Wow.
All right. Thank you to our three panelists.
You know what I want is a selfie. Can we get a selfie?
All right, let's get a selfie.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And I need a drone that can deliver an 18-pack.
All right. What are we doing here?
Yeah, let's do it. You guys mind?
All right.
Come on.
You guys want to hop in?
I don't know. We can't. Can we get the audience lights on? No? All right. Hey, let's go. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Okay, take a good job, guys.
All right. We've covered a lot of ground. Kind of curious where we are in the slide deck. Maybe we're about to find out. So we've talked about a lot of different barriers that come up, and you've heard us allude to this a couple of different times. One of the ones that can be the most scary, especially to folks who aren't familiar with drones, is the regulatory landscape. And I think that a lot of drone companies have kind of used regulation as a punching bag. Like, it's very easy to say, like, oh, we'd be doing XYZ thing if only the regulator would let us. At Skydio, we've always had a very optimistic view on regulations. We've seen enormous progress over the last 10 years. By and large, I think the regulations have been reasonable given the state of technology. And now we're seeing technology progress, we're also seeing regulatory progress. So a quick callback to the product. So X10 is really designed as a BVLOS machine. It's got connectivity options, it can fly over 5G, it can go everywhere you have cell coverage. We have remote flight deck, so you can fly it remotely. We've got the autonomy to fly it remotely in a trustworthy way, as you saw with the live DFR demo. And as a last resort, as a final backup, it's got a parachute if you think you need that. So the hardware and the product is all set for BVLOS operations. The other thing that we're doing as a company is partnering with our customers and supporting them in getting them the regulatory permissions they need. And we're fortunate at Skydio to have really one of the world's foremost experts on small electric drone operations, regulatory compliance, and all the aerospace issues involved. Many of you have probably already worked with her. I'm really excited to welcome Jen Player to the stage to tell you about the work that we're doing.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks to all of you for being here today. Lots of talk about BVLOS. Well, the current aviation regulations still require that drones be operated within visual line of sight, and that literally means that the pilot needs to be able to see the drone. Now, you also heard Adam describe the X10 as a BVLOS machine. It was built to fly beyond visual line of sight. And earlier, you heard about Skydio Dock. It was built for remote operations. So how do you operate Skydio drones the way you really want to, the way you really need to? Remotely, beyond visual line of sight, from across your site, across the state, or even across the country? Well, that's where the Skydio regulatory team comes in. We're unlocking BVLOS, and we're doing that by working with our customers and with regulators on advanced operational approvals, also called waivers. Since we stood up Skydio Regulatory Services, we've been hard at work helping dozens of customers with BVLOS approvals. In the recent months, we've helped Dominion Energy with an approval to inspect its energy generation facilities. We've helped Southern Company with an enterprise-wide approval for docked drones, and we've secured a national scale approval in Japan. Now, these approvals don't require a lot of extra people on site. They don't require costly, complex equipment. They're really practical to implement, and they represent a significant step forward in scaled operations. You don't need to be intimidated by aviation regulations because Skydio has your back. My team was also built for BVLOS, and we're here to help you navigate the regulations and get the approvals that you need. Now, there are a couple of elements to a remote BVLOS approval that are really important. You need a low latency connection to the drone. You need awareness of the weather and the air traffic in the area where the drone is being operated. That's why we've amended our dock offering with a sensor package that delivers to you a BVLOS-ready solution. This solution, this sensor bundle, includes a weather station, and that helps you monitor things like winds, temperature, density, altitude, parameters that are important for aviation compliance. It includes an ADS-B-in receiver. That's a sensor that can detect air traffic. If you don't have infrastructure Wi-Fi on your site, we offer a 5G-capable, hardened appliance for cellular backhaul. And if cellular isn't an option, then we can support a satellite-based solution. All of this comes together with our dock deployment and training services to help you get up and running quickly, and with our regulatory services to help you get approvals and to help you build professional-grade UAS program documentation. So when you're ready to incorporate autonomous drones, remember that Skydio offers a complete solution: a smart, capable drone, a practical dock, amazing autonomy, and all the services that you need to build a productive, safe, and scalable drone program. Thanks. I'm going to hand it back over to Adam.
All right. Thank you, Jen. All right. We're out there on the prairie. We're making great progress. We might be to Oregon. Maybe we're headed to California. So we've got a great drone. It's got great sensors. It captures great data. We've got regulatory permission to fly wherever we need it. At Skydio, our goal is to build the world's best data capture platform. and then work with industry leaders to bring together the end-to-end solutions. And another area where we've made huge investments is on the integration side of things. So getting the data that our drone capture into the systems that matter for you guys. To tell you more about that, we've got our head of technical partnerships, Gagan Kanwar.
Thanks, Adam. Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here, and a big warm welcome to all of our customers and partners. I joined Skydio in January, and when I started talking to a lot of customers and partners to understand what they thought about Skydio and our integration capabilities. And the feedback I got consistently was, we love Skydio, we think it's a great drone, we like the autonomy, but we wish you were a more open platform. And so we spent the last 3 or 4 months kind of working on that, digging into that. And as I talked to more customers, the feedback that I got, again, in terms of what customers really cared about in this area, was that they wanted, one, to be able to integrate to a lot of different kinds of systems, because depending on the industry, whether it's law enforcement or utility or what have you, they'll have different endpoints that they care about. Second, they wanted the ability to have a lot of flexibility in terms of how those integrations actually worked. So the use cases you have for, again, law enforcement might be very different from what you have for utility versus a Department of Transportation. And so we needed to think about how do we build in flexibility beyond just the ability to integrate with a particular endpoint. And then lastly, some customers said, we have really complex scenarios. We don't really think you guys can do that for us. We just need access to APIs, and we want to build it ourselves. This was a small number of customers, but again, we respected that, and we wanted to provide a solution for them as well. So with all of that, we've been working really hard over the last 6 months to build a solution that we think you guys will like, and I'm very pleased to announce today Skydio Extend. So Skydio is now an open platform, and Extend is basically a product that we're launching to solve the integrations problems for our customers. So let's talk about what Extend can help you do. The first thing is integration. So think of integrations as being an app store or a catalog of integrations and endpoints that Skydio will build and maintain over time. And that allows you to connect with a number of different kinds of systems, whether it's Esri SiteScan, AWS S3, IBM Maximo, or any number of systems going forward in the future. The second piece of this is workflows. And workflows is really where the magic happens. This is where you can create multi-step, multi-application workflows that connect the data, do useful things for you, notify people when certain actions are done. And all of that can be done with using workflows. We will also help you build and maintain these workflows if needed, and also create new integrations for you if needed as well. And then the last piece of this is developer tools. And this is really where we want to provide options for those customers that have very complex integration needs and also have the technical resources to take those on themselves. And so for them, we provide a full suite of APIs, webhooks, documentation, et cetera, that they can use to build very bespoke integrations and experiences. So one thing I'll quickly mention here is that integrations and Skydio Extended in particular is just like autonomy. It's a Skydio first. So there is no other drone company that I'm familiar with that offers this capability of integrations and automations to its customers. So really excited to bring this all to you and to get this all in your hands very soon. So I want to walk through a very quick example. So imagine you're running a very large land survey and using Esri SiteScan as your photogrammetry engine and AWS S3 for cloud storage. So in the old world, you might have pilots running around with SD cards, uploading images, sending emails to people, walking into offices, driving back to their facilities or offices. And with the new world, with Skydio Extend, once the drone lands and connects to Wi-Fi, that media automatically makes its way into Skydio Cloud. Once it's in Skydio Cloud, Skydio Extend knows that for this particular kind of mission, you want to send the data both to S3 and to Esri SiteScan. And so first it creates a mission in Esri SiteScan, because that's your container for this kind of a project. It then takes all the images that it's collected, sends those over to SiteScan, sends all the media over to S3. When it's all done, it initiates the processing in SiteScan, so it can start building a model, and it notifies your GIS teams and your IT teams that the data is ready in the systems, and it's ready for them to start working on it. So this is, again, a huge game changer, because when you think about how do you scale your drone programs, this combined with BVLOS and combined with dock and remote operations will really allow you to scale your drone program and get it to a factor of 10 or 20x larger and more capable than what it is today. And then, one final note, if you are interested in talking to us about integrations or about your integration needs in particular, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. Reach out to us through your CSMs, through your SCs, and we'd be happy to have a conversation. So I mentioned Esri SideScan, and we have a very special guest here today from Esri. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Nico Bonifou, Senior Product Manager of Esri ArcGIS Reality. Nico, thank you for joining us here at Ascend. Maybe you could start by just telling us a little bit about Esri and ArcGIS Reality as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this new partnership between Esri and Skydio. Esri is a 50-year-old company. We like to say we enable the science of where. We help organizations from defense, government organizations, from national agencies to local government, private organizations and utilities, natural resources, AEC, and science and research organizations make sense of geospatial data, understanding and extracting information from location data, which can be a variety of data, including the data we collect with drones. The area I'm focused on is our reality mapping capabilities. ArcGIS Reality is a suite of products that allows you to take images from satellite, from airplanes, and of course drones like the beautiful X10, and turn them into high-definition maps, 3D models, that then feed your GIS system to create a living digital twin.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And you've been a pilot, you've been a flight instructor, you're obviously a drone enthusiast, and now you're a product manager at Esri. So you've seen a lot of drones. So I'd love to get your take on X10. What do you think about X10? And do you think it's going to meet the needs of Esri customers?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think you've hit the mark. It checks a lot of the boxes that I hear from our users. I need a US-made drone. I need it NDAA compliant, Blue UAS compliant. I need more sensor options. We have thermal now, we have different RGB sensors, higher resolution, larger sensor itself, and also higher accuracy. So a lot of our users are trying to collect less ground control point for their survey work, in some cases no control point at all. So it's great to see the RTK PPK module that will be available on X10.
Thank you. And when you think about the integration we've built with SideScan, I'd love to get your take on why do you think this will be relevant to mutual customers?
Well, I think it improves efficiency. So we already have a lot of shared users that are flying Skydio vehicles today and bringing that data into ArcGIS. But there's manual steps, as you shared. And I think with this integration, we're eliminating some of those barriers to sharing data. We're getting rid of the SD card, essentially, and making a seamless data flow that'll help all of you go from data collection to insights and, in turn, action much faster.
Got it. And yeah, we definitely want to get the insights faster for our customers. That's been a big North Star for us as we built this product. One final question. We're starting the partnership with Esri by building an integration to SideScan. Would love to get your thoughts on, what are the broader opportunities here for a partnership between Skydio and Esri?
Yeah, I think this integration is just the start. We can definitely deepen the integrations with the broader ArcGIS system. One area that excites me is, from what the team showed today with the onboard intelligence on X10 and the AI capabilities to detect those defects. How do we take it an extra step and know precisely where that defect is in 3D space? Through geospatial video, we'll be able to identify precise locations and share this across an organization to take rapid action.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that, Nico. I really appreciate you coming up from San Diego. And for the audience, if you're going to be here tomorrow, we're having a deep dive session over lunch on Skydio Extend and also on the integration with SideScan. If you're here tomorrow, please join us over lunch. We'd love to tell you more and take your questions if you have any. And again, thank you once again to our partners for attending. It's really great to have you here, and I look forward to meeting you. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we're almost there. What happens next? So the best way to understand X10 is to get hands-on with it. And for those of you here live, right after this, we're going to head up to the Presidio, and we're going to fly some X10s. So you'll get the chance to get hands-on, see what it can do, ask questions of our team, learn all about the product. For those of you who aren't here live, X10 is going on tour, so if you missed Taylor Swift, this is the next best thing. So we've got a list of cities and dates up here. If you go to skydio.com/tour, you can check it out, you can register. We'd love to hear from you, and we really encourage everybody to take advantage of it. It's a great way to get to know the product better, and also to get to know Skydio better and see if this is a company you want to work with. So we aspire to be in the business of building successful drone programs, not just building drones. And as a company, we know we're not perfect. Sometimes we make mistakes. But one of the things that I hope really defines us is our persistence. We stick with it, we listen, we learn, we adapt, we improve. And X10 is a reflection of everything we've learned over the last 10 years building autonomous flying systems, everything we've learned from all of you, our customers. And ultimately, what will define its success is not the capabilities or the specs, but the impact that it has for all of you. And that journey is just getting started today. I want to thank our customers, everybody that bet on Skydio that enabled us to get to this point. And I also want to congratulate our incredible team at Skydio that made all of this possible. I'm up here representing the work of hundreds of people that have been working for years to bring all of this to life. Thank you all.